It is Tuesday, which of course means it's time to answer the questions that you guys send in every single week on the BrendenPlayz forums at brendenplayz.com/forums or in the YouTube comment section down below. I tell you what, pretty big week in wrestling, I gotta say. I mean, last week was pretty slow. This week, pretty good one. We're coming off the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. A few talking points about that. We had a lot of news regarding Ring of Honor, TNA. There's some news and rumblings about some contracts, people being signed here, people being signed there. We had the Austin and Heyman podcast, so a lot to talk about this week, so probably will be a bit of a longer show today. We've got a lot of questions as well that you guys sent in. I mean, last week we didn't have many questions at all. Mind you, it was more of a rush show, but this week, plenty of time. We're going to sit back, relax, and I think this is going to be a good episode, so you guys should certainly enjoy this one. So before we get into that, though, I have to tell you guys how to get the show. Of course, if you are listening on YouTube and you want to kind of, enjoy the podcast somewhere else on the go, you can listen to the show on iTunes by searching up Let's Talk Tuesdays on iTunes. Just click the download, subscribe button, and you can get any show you want. You can listen to old shows. You can keep up to date with all the new ones as soon as they drop. You can do that as well by following the show on Spreaker. And you can download the shows directly off there, and you can download them, and then you can just listen to them on your computer using your media player or whatever the hell you normally use. I mean, I think you could even download it, put it in iTunes, and listen to it if you want to. But if you want to do it a hard way. But there's plenty of ways you can listen to the show. As well as that, we have Stitcher as well. We're on that. We're still working on iHeartRadio. I haven't heard anything back from them yet. And of course, YouTube. And you can listen to the show on YouTube. That's probably the number one way to directly support the show. But I also like you guys to really get on board and listen to other platforms as well if you want to do that. And the Spreaker show doing really, really well. I think we're approaching the top 10. I think we might be in the top 15 at the moment on Spreaker under wrestling shows, and that's been really great. I mean, we started at right down the bottom at number 100, and within a couple of months, we're right up there. So we're getting close to the top 10, if not we're already in it. So I don't know the exact number, but we're looking pretty good. And I don't know how we're doing on iTunes. Probably not all that great, because iTunes is a big, big fish. And we're very small fish in a huge ocean, so it's a big thing we have to try and conquer, but we'll get there one day, and we're just a small little show doing our thing, but one day, hopefully, that the podcast will grow into something special. But I do thank everyone that's been supporting the show on iTunes. The best way to support us on iTunes as well is to leave a rating, and that will get our search ranking up, and that will definitely help the show get exposed to more listeners as well. So if you do listen to it on iTunes, please leave a rating on the show, whether it's a 1-star or a 5-star. I don't care. Just leave a rating. That helps really helps get the show out there for everyone to listen to. And the more viewers, the better, of course, and a lot more listeners as well is fantastic. So definitely encourage you guys to do that. And of course, if you want to leave a question, as I said earlier on in the video, if you want to leave a question in future episodes, go to brendenplayz.com/forums. There is a Let's Talk Tuesdays thread, and just leave a question there. You can leave as many as you want. You can leave 100 if you want to. Leave them all there, and I'll try and get to the best ones every single week. And of course, you can leave a question in the YouTube comment section as well. People still messaging me on Twitter. People messaging me on the wrong type of video as well. If you want to leave a question, make sure it's on the Let's Talk Tuesday video. I've talked about this before, but people are still doing it. So make sure it's on the latest Let's Talk Tuesday video. Otherwise, I won't look at it. I don't go and check my career mode videos for questions, which I got a question today on my career mode video. So make sure you do it on the Let's Talk Tuesdays video. Otherwise, I won't view it. But anyways, let's get into today's show. So we will start off with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Look, I thought it was a pretty good show. I did give it about a 7.5 out of 10, I believe, after first viewing. So I did enjoy it. And though the show had a lot of good points, but then when the show was not good, it was pretty bad. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But we'll start it off with I didn't watch the pre-show, so I think Daniel Bryan just came out and did his little thing and, said that he'll be back for the 10th time. Like he's done, how many times have we heard that now? So Bryan will be back. That was a big talking point, but is it really? I don't know. But we had the Mega Powers, I think, do a run-in on The Miz. I mean, well, who cares? But as well as that, the first match of the show was the Elimination Chamber tag team match. I thought this match was really good. 13 men in the match. It was pretty crazy. And there was a lot of high spots as well. I mean, Kalisto jumping off the middle of the chamber was pretty cool. But, I mean, the New Day retaining, I guess that's a given. I think we all kind of expected that. Them having 3 in there instead of 2 was like, okay. we kind of knew from there when they had the 3 guys in there, we kind of knew already where the match was going. So them not losing was not a surprise at all. So them walking away with the championships was not a surprise. The one surprise in the match, though, was that they gave the Primetime Players the final kind of spot with the New Day, which is fantastic. I mean, I guess we all kind of thought Cesaro and Kid and the New Day were going to be the 2 main teams in the match, but it turns out the Primetime Players in the end were the final team. And we'll talk about this soon when we get to Raw, but it looks as though they might be starting to build towards a Primetime Players versus New Day feud, which is good because I think the New Day and Cesaro and Kid thing has definitely been played out. I think it's kind of done now. I mean, Cesaro and Kid have lost a number of times now, so it's good to try and build up a new team. And I thought the Lucha Dragons would have been in the spot, but for some reason they're not wanting to push the Lucha Dragons. I don't know why. I think they're a good team. Maybe they're just kind of having them work their way around on main event and whatever, and then they'll have the Primetime Players probably lose to the New Day, and then maybe they'll have the Lucha Dragons be the next team to come in and perhaps even take the titles. I don't know. But definitely, this match really suffered because there was too many, dare I say it, shit teams. We had the Los Matadors, Ascension, and Primetime Players and Lucha Dragons. I put them on the same level. 2 teams we probably may have a very slim chance of winning, but we kind of knew weren't going to win. So the only 2 teams that we thought could possibly win was Cesaro and Kid and the New Day. So that kind of took away from the match from the get-go. The Ascension did look pretty good, though. They did eliminate a couple of teams, but we all knew they weren't going to win overall. And the Los Matadors, why the hell they're even in this match? Like I said weeks ago, I think Harper and Rowan should have taken their spot. Now Harper and Rowan weren't even on Raw this week, so I don't know what the hell they're doing with those guys. They're not giving them a slow build up. They're not just not doing anything with them. It's just frustrating to watch. But look, the Los Matadors, I don't even know why they're still employed within the company. I think they're just a jobber tag team, always will be. But they always get these multi-man matches, these fatal 4-ways, these 6-man matches. They always get that last spot in the match, and it just really takes away from the match because I don't really find them that entertaining at all in the ring either. I mean, the El Torito thing is dreadful, and even if you turn them heel, no one's going to care. There's just always been a joke. Even when they were Primo and Epico, you could barely take them as a credible team either. Like, they just always have and probably always will be a joke. And I really have no care for them at all. And them just wasting space in that match is just frustrating. Same with the Ascension. They're done. So it's just frustrating that this match could have been great if we had 6 really good teams, but we only had probably 2 good teams. Primetime Players, I personally am a huge fan. They're my favorite tag team. But I knew they weren't going to win. Lucha Dragons, they're growing on me, but I knew they weren't going to win, so that took away from the match in my opinion. But the match was good though, it was very good. I did enjoy it. I do like the concept. I think the concept of a tag team elimination chamber match is great, and I'd love to see it again in the future. But looking at the Elimination Chamber, you can just tell that the chamber these days and the PG environment is just so bad. I mean, if you ever go back and watch the chamber from 02, 03, 05... you go back and watch those chambers and compare them to now, it's just not the same at all. They're just so bad in comparison. The PG chambers are dreadful, and same with the Hell in a Cell matches, exactly the same. The PG matches are just horrible. It's not just the blood, it's just the things they did in those matches. You know, going through the quote-unquote glass, Dolph Ziggler, twice, you know, it didn't look painful at all. I mean, I don't know, they're just not the same anymore. I think the chamber match, it's just, they did use it a little bit in the tag match. In the IC title match, they barely touched the chamber. But, you know, I just think the chamber just doesn't feel the same. It's just not as fun, not as enjoyable as it once was. Maybe I'm getting old. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, you know, trying to live on past glory. But it's certainly just not the same in my opinion. But like I said, did enjoy the match. I expected the New Day to win, no surprise. And the whole 3-man thing, I think we kind of knew that was coming. But like I said, we'll talk about it now. That, you know, the Primetime Players and New Day now feuding. if that's the direction they're going in, I'm really happy to see that. And I think that's a good step up for the Primetime Players. And I've been wondering what they're doing with the Primetime Players as well, because they had them coming on Raw, and they're actually getting 2 minutes every single week to cut a little promo on other tag teams. And I was wondering where are they going with this? What are they going to do? Are they actually going to put them in the ring and give them some opportunities? And they didn't. But they had this Elimination Chamber opportunity. Maybe, the crowd was somewhat hot for them. They're doing okay. The crowd, by the way, was horrible all night. One of the worst crowds of the year. Absolutely dreadful. I mean, they came alive for 1 or 2 matches, and the rest was just silence. It's just horrible. But, look, the Primetime Players, I think, can be tag team champs. I think they can definitely be one of the better tag teams on the roster. They just have to give them an opportunity. And looking at them on Raw, the crowd on Raw, by the way, was great. So it was horrible to great. So the crowd on Raw was really, really hot for the Primetime Players. So maybe that's a good sign for the future. Maybe they will give them more of an opportunity to see where they can go with that. But, it is obvious that Titus and Darren are not excellent in the ring by all means. They're pretty average, let's be honest. But I think just their gimmick and just I think their charisma as well. I think Titus's charisma is great. And I think Darren plays a really good sidekick along with Titus as well, and I really do enjoy the team. I just think they're entertaining. So to me, I definitely want to see them succeed. So hopefully the future is good for them. We'll skip over a couple of matches. I mean, Neville and Dallas is what it is, just a filler match. Nobody cared. Crowd was absolute silent. It was okay match. Neville winning as expected. The Divas match, once again, nobody really cared. I didn't really care. I did watch the whole thing, and it was an okay match. And let's just say it's an okay match. Nikki winning, I did call that. A lot of people saying Naomi was going to win, but I just got the feeling they didn't see much in Naomi. I just got the feeling that Naomi, the whole heel turn was just a complete failure. Now they've already dropped the ball on her. They've already decided, nope, she's gone. Let's focus on Nikki and Paige. And I always felt that it was always going to be about Paige when she returns, and Naomi was always going to be just filler, and she was just there to allow Paige to go and film her movie and whatever, and be away for a couple months, and then keep the Divas division going with Naomi in that spot. And I never thought they were going to give her the title, which is why I always said Nikki was going to win, and she did. And Nikki did retain again on Raw, which a little surprising, but obviously they did the twin magic thing. We'll talk about that in a minute, but so anyways, what else have we got? I'll talk about the IC Chamber match. Look, this match was dreadful. I think this match was probably one of the worst Chamber matches ever. Let's be honest. This match, it wasn't dreadful. I'll take that back. But in comparison to Chamber matches and what you expect, it was pretty bad. It was just had nothing to it. It just was a boring match. It was just really boring. But the outcome was great. You guys know I'm a big Ryback fan. You guys know I really enjoy Ryback, and I've been pulling for him to get a push and get a title for a long time now. So him winning the IC title, I think, is great. I honestly thought Sheamus was going to win it, but I had a little hope that Ryback could take it out. So Ryback winning was a surprise, and it was really nice. I just think it was a good moment, and I popped for it. I was like, yes. I was pumped. You guys saw me on Twitter. I was tweeting. I was yes, thank God Ryback won. So I was really happy. I was going off in the chat room as well. So I had it was really good to see Ryback win, and I think that kind of saved the match for me. I think we kind of always knew that was always going to be between Sheamus, Ryback. I thought Rusev when he was going to beat it, but when he got out, obviously not. But I didn't really think Barrett or Truth, especially not Truth, had any kind of chance. I even thought Ziggler was very, very unlikely as well. So I think overall the match was pretty bad, but like obviously said, Ryback winning kind of saved it for me in the end. I'm very happy to see him get the championship. But, we'll talk about it soon when we get to Raw, but obviously it's not going to be exactly a exciting start to his IC title reign, it looks as though. So we'll have to wait and see. But the final 2 matches we'll talk about. I think this one was probably the real main event. This is one of the real drawing cards of the show. Kevin Owens versus John Cena. This is easily the best match on the card. One of the best matches this year, indeed. Very exciting to see Owens in this spot. Very exciting to see Owens not only excelling in the ring and having a great match with Cena, which Cena always has good matches, let's be honest. I know a lot of people criticize Cena a lot, but I'm a guy who will defend Cena. I don't like his character. I'm not a kid. His character is designed and is aimed towards children. And I'm nearly 20 years old. I'm 20 years old in 2 weeks' time. So I'm obviously not going to be, a John Cena fan. I respect his work. I respect the matches he puts on. And the things he does backstage, yes, it is what it is. And should he be overpushed and whatever, okay. But just take all that away and sit back and enjoy his matches he has with these guys like Owens. You've seen him put up great matches with CM Punk. All these guys that he's had great matches with, you just got to respect the guy. And a lot of people always say it's the other guy, but it takes two to tango. And John Cena is a great wrestler, in my opinion. He knows how to put on a good match. And does he have a lot of kind of raw filler matches? Yes, he does. And does he have his 5 moves? Yes, he does. But, when it's time for a big match, he does turn it on. And I think for that, I have to give credit where credit is due for Cena. But definitely Owens and Cena, great matchup. And it was really back and forth. These guys, I thought for a while, I was like, damn, this is going for a long time. And they're just giving it everything they've got. Back and forth. Their best moves, they're doing everything to each other, and they're kicking out of everything. I thought, wow, where is this going? Who's going to win? And I was kind of on the edge of my seat going, who the hell's going to win this? Is it going to be Cena, or can Owens possibly do it? It was Owens that came away, hit the pop-up powerbomb, the 1, 2, 3. Very exciting to see Owens winning the matchup. And I was surprised. I did think Cena was going to win. I actually thought a DQ or something was going to happen. Someone was going to run in, perhaps. I was silently hoping that Samoa Joe would run in and attack Owens. Didn't happen. But now that the rumor is that Kevin Owens has signed a full-time main roster contract, obviously the deal is that they're going to have Owens in a great spot, and they want to make him look good in his first match. And they did. Owens came out of this match looking really, really good, and I personally really, really enjoyed it. And I don't really have much to say about it. There's not a lot to criticize about it. I just think it was a great match. And a lot of people were saying, I think Vince Russo was saying online that he thought the match should have been more of a brawl than a wrestling match. And I can agree with that. I can basically, I can see what he means. Vince Russo, he came out, he wrote an article, and he said, when John Cena was doing his entrance, Kevin Owens just stood there and did nothing about it, despite, going to beat him up and, disrespecting him and doing all this prior to that. So I as well, when I was watching it live, I was like, well, why is he letting Cena just do all this crap right in front of him? I thought Owens probably should have started the match and attacked him from behind and started like that. I personally thought, they kind of missed out in there, and that would have been a better start to the match rather than just a, straight up wrestling match. So I do agree with Vince Russo on that regard. But other than that, really not much to criticize. Great match, good outcome, and put him over clean. Clean finish. Kudos to Cena again, and I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. I tell you what, I think this is probably the feud that I'm the most excited to see where it goes at the moment. Obviously, Ambrose and Rollins as well, which we're going to segue into now, it's intriguing, but we kind of know where it's going, so my interest is dropping off a little bit, but they certainly did. They got me a little bit. They did get me for, a good 10 seconds when Ambrose won the belt against Seth Rollins. We'll talk about it now. So, very close to a dusty kind of finish, apparently. And, look, Dean Ambrose, hitting the referee or whatever, I kind of missed that when I was watching it live. I saw the referee down. I'm like, oh, here we go, ref bump. And then he hit Dirty Deeds, and he got the 1, 2, 3. So, I didn't quite know what happened. So I was like, oh, wow, Ambrose won. I was like, holy shit, Ambrose won. And then I saw, the referee get back in the ring. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, they're going to take it away from him, and they did. So that was a little disappointing, but it just goes to show, I think it might have been like a little bit of tester, similar to what they did with Jericho and Triple H back in the day, was it 2001, where they had Jericho win and got it taken off him 3 minutes later. So very similar with Ambrose, and Ambrose had the title taken away from him, and the crowd went nuts. And like, holy shit, Ambrose won. I think, is that a testament of Ambrose as being over? I think so, but I think as well as I think people just want to see Rollins lose. I think Seth Rollins, is he a failure of a champion? I don't think so, but I just think his inability to win matches by himself really hurts his credibility, just really makes him look bad. Every single fucking match, J&J, Kane, interfering over and over and over, it just really takes away from it. And now, the storyline that they're going with, and I think this is a good one, it needs to happen for Seth Rollins as the champion and for his own sake. On Raw, Seth Rollins said, look, I don't need any of you guys. I'm going to win Money in the Bank by myself. Now, this is going to obviously lead to Seth winning and perhaps maybe a bit of dissension between the Authority and Seth. I mean, there's a bit of rumors that Seth and Triple H could feud down the line. I don't know about that, but if that's the case, I'd definitely be down for that. That'd be good. You know, I love Triple H, so whenever he gets in the ring, I'm very excited for it. So that's a possibility, but as well as that, you know, perhaps someone else could join the Authority as well and do that. But as well as that, you could have Dean Ambrose beat Seth and then the Authority go to kick Seth out. You know, kick Seth Rollins out and then they get someone else in and replace him. Maybe it's a Roman Reigns. Maybe it's even Kevin Owens. You know, they could bring someone else in, replace Seth Rollins and have Seth turn babyface and, you know, go after the title and go after the Authority. And that's certainly a possibility. But definitely need less interference in the Seth Rollins matches. I'm just getting really tired of it at the moment. It's just really frustrating to watch every single match getting interfered. But overall, the match was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't their best matchup, I don't think, but I did enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to their Money in the Bank matchup, which I think will be much better than this one. And I think a stipulation, a ladder match as well, will certainly help. And it does kind of make sense, you know, Ambrose running away with the title. You know, he has to put the title, he has to give the title back to put it up on the top of the ladder, and whoever does come away with the title is the rightful champion. So I think the way they kind of did the finish and the match stipulation for Money in the Bank certainly does make sense. So I do like what they did there. I think they're very unintentional, but I do like, you know, what they did there. You look at it, you think about it, it does kind of make sense. But that's really Elimination Chamber. I know we talked about it for quite some time, but I did enjoy it. I think I did enjoy the pay-per-view. Like I said, 7.5 out of 10. Had a couple of matches there that really kept my interest, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's next. I think the problem is, though, like, with Elimination Chamber, with Payback, and now Money in the Bank, the real issue is so many pay-per-views in such a short turnaround. It's a little bit too much, you know, 3 pay-per-views in the space of 6 weeks. And I even read a rumor that they might be thinking about adding another special event at the end of June, which could mean 4 pay-per-views in 2 months. If that's the case, that is so much. That's overkill. That's ridiculous. And it really takes away from the pay-per-views. And I see WWE doing this. This is a cheap, really pathetic way to try and sell their network. This is a very lazy attempt of getting network subscriptions. What they're basically doing with these extra pay-per-views is saying, look, the only real drawing point of our network is pay-per-views. That's the main reason why people subscribe. That's why I personally am subscribed. I do watch some other things. I watch the Austin and Heyman podcast. We'll talk about that soon. And I did watch some old stuff here and there, and I do enjoy that, but I don't watch that very often. But, you know, I subscribe for their original programming, and obviously the pay-per-views is one of their big, you know, selling points. So I guess a way to keep people subscribing is their mindset is, well, what's the biggest drawing point? Pay-per-views. Okay, what will we do? You know, okay, let's have more pay-per-views. Let's keep having more pay-per-views over and over and over. That way everyone will have to subscribe because they get all these pay-per-views. It's not the way to go. It's definitely it's a cheap, lazy way to sell their network. You know, what they need to do is have programming that people want to pay for and have interesting pay-per-views that are must-see. We only need 1 pay-per-view a month on your network because 1 pay-per-view is easily worth the price of admission. If you have 1 pay-per-view a month, even sometimes 1 a month is ridiculous, but if 1 pay-per-view a month, that is enough, in my opinion, to sell your network. You don't need 2 and 3 sometimes. You don't need 4 pay-per-views in the span of 2 months to try and keep the network going. It's overkill. It's killing their pay-per-views. It's hurting their own product. And in my opinion, if they keep going along with it, it's going to really affect the quality of their shows overall, and it's just getting too much. I mean, 2 pay-per-views in the space of 4 weeks is like, wow, and we've got another one in 2 weeks' time. We've already had 1 week build-up for that now, so we'll get, 1 more week in the pay-per-view, or is it 2 more weeks in the pay-per-view? I don't know. So, 2 more weeks in the pay-per-view, I think. So, it's crazy. It's just too much in too little time, and, they need more time to build these storylines up, make them interesting, and make people want to watch. And it makes it very difficult to be intrigued. It makes it very difficult to actually want to listen, so to want to watch these pay-per-views on a regular basis when, most of the time nothing's going to happen on these pay-per-views because of the such short turnaround. And we already get the feeling that the WWE is kind of being stagnant and just kind of stalling with their WWE Championship feud. I think the WWE would have dropped the belt off Seth Rollins if they weren't in the back of their minds thinking about Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. It's pretty obvious to me that's the plan, and if they didn't have that plan, if there was no Brock Lesnar, you take Lesnar out of the equation, Dean Ambrose should be champion right now. He's the most over guy in the company, and you saw that at Elimination Chamber. So they're just kind of stalling for time right now, and, in a bad period of the WWE, this is kind of like their downtime. This is kind of like the really low time until SummerSlam, probably one of the worst times of the year. In this period of time, their solution is, let's not make the show better, let's give them more pay-per-views to watch. So 2 pay-per-views is better than 1 pay-per-view, right? That will sell the network. No, it won't, because it's just overkill, and watching, 6 hours of a glorified Raw isn't, I'd rather see 1 3-hour fucking great event rather than 6 hours of 2, average shows, So we don't need more pay-per-views. The solution is to make your shows better. Anyways, this week's Monday Night Raw, look, I really enjoyed the opening promo by Seth Rollins and him kind of branching away just a little bit from the Authority and, saying, look, you guys keep doubting me. I can do this by myself. I'm ready to take the challenge. I'll fight Dean Ambrose at the pay-per-view. I don't care what you guys think. That's something that Seth really needed for his character, because his character is chicken shit beyond chicken shit. It's ridiculous. So him having that little moment was necessary. Thank God that he actually looks like somewhat of a fighting champion. He's not trying to escape every possible fighting situation. He actually is wanting to fight Ambrose head on, and thank God for that. And tonight was really kind of Roman Reigns' night, and it's pretty obvious to me the plan is for Reigns to win Money in the Bank. I would be very, very surprised if Roman Reigns does not win Money in the Bank at this point. And you look at Roman Reigns now compared to 2-3 months ago, Roman Reigns is in a really, really good position. He's barely getting booed anymore. I don't want to hear anybody trying to tell me that he is getting booed. He's not. Roman Reigns is doing really, really, really well tonight. Every time he came out, the crowd was going nuts for him. And it's pretty much because of the pairing between him and Ambrose. It's pretty obvious that Ambrose, megally over. Everyone loves Ambrose. Roman Reigns has been indifferent for a while, and a lot of people, myself included, have been falling off the Reigns, bandwagon or, support, even when they have been a fan. Like, I'm a fan of Roman Reigns, but even in the last 2 months, I'm being like, oh man, this is kind of a bit shitty. Like, I'm kind of getting a bit bored of Roman Reigns, but I'm kind of enjoying him a little bit more now. I think the crowd are also enjoying him. I think I like this role. And tonight he had to prove himself, and he had 3 matches, and he worked very hard in those 3 matches, let me tell you that. And it's not easy to go out and have 3 matches. You have an hour break in between. Your body's going to, stiffen up, and that's going to be very difficult after having a 10-minute match, an hour break, 10-minute match, hour break, 10-minute match. That's difficult to do. So kudos to Reigns for doing that, and also sold his injuries that he had, and made it look like it was a very tough night for him. And he had to do all these matches to try and stay in the Money in the Bank. So they really made him earn his spot in the Money in the Bank. So I think the people will respect him a little bit there, and that was pretty much what it was designed to do, was make people respect Roman Reigns. And if he does win Money in the Bank, they'll say, okay, he did earn that, he did deserve that, he had to fight hard to get that, so fair enough. So for that reason alone, it was good. But obviously seeing the same guy 3 times in a night, yeah, it's a little overkill, but it was okay. We had some different matches. It's nice to see Roman Reigns face somebody other than, Kane or The Big Show. So that was a little refreshing that he actually had to verse some different people for once. And we basically had all throughout the Raw, the 6 guys in the Money in the Bank just face each other all night. So that's, that was what it is what it is. So, look, I enjoyed Roman Reigns tonight, but certainly Money in the Bank. A lot of people are asking me what I think is going to happen, my prediction. I would be very surprised if Roman Reigns does not win that matchup, and I think probably the plan is to do a Seth Rollins on Seth Rollins. So what I mean by that, Roman Reigns wins Money in the Bank, goes to SummerSlam where it's Brock versus Seth, one-on-one. Maybe Seth Rollins and Brock are both down. Roman Reigns comes in, cashes in Money in the Bank halfway through the match, makes it a triple threat, and this time Seth Rollins gets pinned by Roman Reigns and wins the match. Brock Lesnar gets screwed again, and perhaps Brock Lesnar just goes absolutely apeshit, and then he's coming after both Reigns and Rollins after that. He's pissed at both of them, and, we'll continue on from down there. So that's probably where I see it right now. It's possible that may not happen, and Reigns might hold onto the briefcase for a while, but I don't know. Roman Reigns as a Money in the Bank winner and cashing in to win his first championship by Money in the Bank, I personally am not a fan of that. I think Roman Reigns is a guy that probably should win the belt without Money in the Bank. I see Money in the Bank winners as a guy that, that probably could never win the championship unless they had Money in the Bank. Like, a Jack Swagger, a Dolph Ziggler, and even Alberto Del Rio at first. Actually, he didn't win Money in the Bank, did he? You guys know what I mean. Like, Damien Sandow as well. Like, these guys, you're never going to build them up to be a legitimate main eventers. These guys are mid-card, upper mid-card guys that are going to win the world title by getting lucky and, cashing in an opportunistic time, and then they're going to drop the belt not too long later. It's clear that then the company hasn't got full faith in them. Whereas Roman Reigns is pretty clear that the company does have full faith in him, and pretty clear the company has big plans for him, so him winning the Money in the Bank and cashing in and winning it by that way, to me, just kind of devalues his first title win. That's just how I view Money in the Bank, but obviously a title win is a title win. If Roman Reigns wins the title and defends it for 6 months, well, then we're going to forget about how he won it. We're going to focus on all the title defenses he's had, obviously. So, just for the first initial match and the first initial win, I just think that devalues that first initial win for a little bit. But, it is what it is. Like, does it really matter? No, not really, but just kind of how I view Money in the Bank, in my personal opinion. Just kind of how they've built up Money in the Bank for me. Moving on, so Owens and Cena, they were a really, really good part of the show as well. Another great back-and-forth promo. And we're going to talk about Austin and Heyman soon, but one of the things Austin brought up on the podcast was the fact that they don't, when two guys are having a promo, this is very evident tonight. Kevin Owens had the microphone in his hand, and John Cena's talking. He's talking. John Cena has like a 7-minute monologue where he's just talking and Owens is listening. The one thing that kind of annoys me is the fact that these guys don't talk back. Kevin Owens is just standing there listening and nodding his head like, okay, and, he might mouth off a little bit as well. Like, say something back. Have a back and forth conversation and, talk back to each other. It's one guy, he'll say what he has to say. The next guy will come in, say what he has to say, and then they'll have a confrontation at the end, whether it's, a beat down or a walk away or they'll go face to face. It's kind of the same thing over and over. Like, why don't we have Owens talk, Cena talk, Owens talk, Cena talk, back and forth, back and forth? We don't see that. And that's really, I personally think it just doesn't, it makes it seem scripted, it doesn't make it seem authentic. Like, if a guy is talking shit about you right in front of your face, are you going to be quiet about that? Are you going to not say anything about that? You're just going to stand there and take that? No, you're not. You're going to say something. You're going to do something about it. And obviously Owens is the heel. At the end, him walking away, okay, I can live with that. But he probably should have said a few things back, I guess maybe that's Cena himself saying, look, you can say what you need to say, but when I come out, you let me talk. Don't talk over me. Maybe that's Cena himself doing that, but to be honest, I just think it seems a little bit less authentic, and I just don't really personally. I'm just not a fan of that. I just think that if you're having a promo with two guys, have both of them talk to each other, not just have one talk and then the other one listens. It's just kind of like, ugh, why? But the promos themselves were really good. I did enjoy them. You know, I'm going to be honest, I did really enjoy them. I think Owens was good as well. I enjoyed it. But Cena was really, really good. Cena was fantastic. You know, he really cut a great promo. Obviously, kind of pandering to the crowd a little bit, pointing to the cancer person, and obviously really making it as though Cena was fighting for all of them. So for that, you know, it was a good promo for Cena. I did enjoy it. And Cena, obviously, when he wants to, he can really turn up his promos and make them good. And you can see that Cena was pretty passionate, and obviously I think Cena may be really interested in this feud. I think it's something different for Cena. Maybe he's really enjoying this little period of his career, and you know, he wants to give back a little bit to and help get these guys over. I think that's what he's really trying to do. He wants to try and give back and get these people over. And I mean, obviously it's about time, because you know, it's probably about 5 years too late. You know, Cena's kind of destroyed so many guys, and so many guys could have gotten over because of Cena, but just never happened. So if he does do the deed for Kevin Owens again, which I think Cena is going to win at Money in the Bank and build up towards the final match, which I guess would be at Battleground, but it should be at SummerSlam. But if they build up to a final match, then perhaps Owens should win. But I get the feeling that Cena might just, you know, fucking win it and do what he normally does. But I hope not. But yeah. Another talking point on Raw was Big Show. The hugely exciting return of the Big Show. You can hear it in my voice. I was so pumped to see the Big Show back. And he's coming after Ryback. So, of course, Ryback wins. We have to have a big guy versus big guy feud. Look, normally I'd be okay with this, but the Big Show, I just don't give a shit about him. And, you know, you got Cena doing so well with the US title. Why are we destroying Ryback's chance of anybody caring about the IC title straight away with him with the Big Show? Like, we've already got Ryback. He has his critics enough. A lot of people are already, you know, saying, "Oh, he can't wrestle. He's boring." Blah blah blah. You know, let's give it to a technical guy like Neville. You know, so Ryback's first feud is with the Big Show. So unless Ryback just destroys the Big Show, you know, this is gonna be shit. Like, come on. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Big Show won. Honestly, I would not be surprised at all. Big Show is just the type of guy, just gets pushed over and over and over, undeservedly pushed, just gets this big part on the card, always has to be a vocal point on the card, even though he just offers absolutely nothing. We also had a Mark Henry heel turn again, like he was a babyface at Elimination Chamber the next night, turning heel. You know, whatever. Who cares? I don't mind that though. Like, Mark Henry will be one of those guys, used like the Big Show, used like Kane, who'll be an upper mid-card guy who'll feud. He won't feud, really. He'll have matches with Ambrose, with Reigns, with Ziggler, with Ryback, these kind of guys, and just basically lose to them all. I just see that's how they'll probably use with him. And we mentioned a bit earlier as well, we had Twin Magic used, even though the Bellas at this point don't look anything alike. But, you know, I gotta admit, though, like, I kind of forgot how similar they look in the face. Like, obviously they're twins, so that's a pretty of a dumb statement I just said. But, you know, with the makeup and things like that, you know, when they walked away, I'm like, okay, I can see how it works. And they had the face covered up, and like the hair was horribly done. You know, you just had like one bit of hair for the extension that was blonde to try and make it look like the same. I mean, you could at least use a blondie wig, but they never did that. But, you know, whatever. Like, Twin Magic, we haven't seen it used in forever, and the referee is obviously retarded, so it is what it is. But that's Monday Night Raw. I did enjoy the show. I gotta admit, I did enjoy Monday Night Raw. That was pretty good. That was all the main things coming out of Raw. I can't remember if anything else was kind of done, but that's basically everything I took out of the Raw. Obviously, at the end, we had Ambrose come back and, you know, save Roman Reigns, which was good and expected, obviously. So, you know, a Seth Rollins and Ambrose feud again. Like I said, a lot of match. I think that'll be really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think a stipulation with those guys probably will fit a little bit more, and certainly with the storyline as well will definitely fit, like I said earlier. So I also got a chance to watch Austin and Heyman, as I mentioned a moment ago as well. I thought this was really good. I did enjoy it. There was some parts of the podcast where I kind of tuned out a little bit, probably like 10 minutes, where they were just talking some old school things. I was just kind of zoned out a little bit. But other than that, like, it was a really good podcast. We've already heard Austin and Heyman many times. Heyman's been on Austin's podcast like 2, maybe 3 times before, so I've already kind of heard these two guys talk many times, so there was not a lot of new stuff that they hadn't mentioned before, but I just thought it was entertaining. Like, Paul Heyman's just incredibly entertaining, and we need him back on TV. I'm hoping that, we can get him back on TV soon. And I understand, why, the question was, why isn't Heyman working with anybody else? I understand, what he's doing there, and I get that, but I still definitely would like to see Heyman on TV working with somebody. I know the Brock Lesnar thing, it's always going to be about Brock. You think of Heyman, you think of Brock next. So it's always going to be associated with Lesnar, and you're always going to have Lesnar in the back of your mind if there is a new Heyman guy. But I certainly think Paul Heyman can do it. I think he has so much value, and he certainly needs to be used, considering he's really the only manager. Like, him and Lana are the only 2 managers in the company, and that's certainly a problem in itself. But Paul Heyman definitely needs to be used a little bit more. But if you haven't listened to the podcast, definitely check it out. I think this is better than Jericho's podcast. I think Austin just asks the questions that you kind of want to know, whereas Jericho, as I've mentioned this on my show, Jericho's just there to have a conversation and, reminisce and, talk about some stories and things like that. Austin will actually ask some questions that people want to talk about, and, Austin talking about promos and talking about selling and things like that. I took a lot out of that. I really enjoyed that, and I think Heyman's right. Heyman brought up the point that the DDT is useless, but he brought up the point to get a move back over again, like he said about the headlock. If you have Mark Henry coming out there and he just chokes everyone out with a headlock, in 6 months' time, everyone's going to start taking the headlock seriously, and, people will actually think the headlock's a legitimate, serious move, and that, no one's going to get out of it. That's how wrestling kind of works, and wrestling just always recycles moves over and over and over, and it just keeps evolving. But if you have everybody in the locker room wanting to sell that one move, you're going to get the move over. You could bring back the DDT. You just have everyone stop using it and only use it as a finish, and you can start to sell the DDT and you can start to bring it back. So it's possible to bring these moves back. It's not being oversaturated to the point of death. Like Heyman said, you have Mark Henry, you can beat people with a headlock. It's possible. So you just have to have everyone, working together to get that move over again. So that was one of the big things I took out of that. But like I said, very good podcast. Definitely enjoyed it. So definitely check that out. And probably the biggest news this week is not coming from WWE, but it was coming from a little company called Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor and TNA. A lot of talking point about this. Ring of Honor is pulled the rug under everybody. Destination America has brought Ring of Honor on their network, and they put them an hour before TNA on Wednesday night. So this means it's basically Wednesday night wars. NXT, Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, and TNA. 4 wrestling shows in the one night. And I don't watch any of them. But Wednesday night, it's going to be a big night for any wrestling fans. So it's probably the one night if you're a wrestling fan to stay home and keep the TV on, because you're going to be entertained, and set your DVRs, because I don't know what's on when, because obviously I'm Australian, I don't keep up with the time slots of American shows, but I think there is a clash at some point, or that some of the shows will clash, so obviously got to DVR some of them. But Destination America getting Ring of Honor on their network, I think does a lot of good for Ring of Honor. This is the move that Ring of Honor have always needed. Like, Destination America is not a huge network, and this is not a huge risk from them, because they've already got TNA on there, so their viewers have already kind of associated Destination America to a point with wrestling, so if they can bring in another wrestling show and it won't be a detriment to them, and if people are going to watch TNA, they're probably going to watch Ring of Honor an hour beforehand. If it's like on their network an hour before, they're going to go, okay, or why not? Let's watch 3 hours. What's another hour? So it's not a really risky move for Destination America. I think it's a good move, and it's kind of smart. Ring of Honor is a much, much lower cost production compared to TNA, so it won't cost anywhere near as much to run Ring of Honor compared to TNA. So the future of TNA is certainly in doubt, but Destination America, if they are going to drop TNA, they're kind of bringing in Ring of Honor at a good time. You got people associating the network with wrestling. You establish Ring of Honor on their network for 3-4 months. And if they do drop TNA, the people still have been associated with Ring of Honor, and people have, been warmed into Ring of Honor to a point. And, they can get away with Ring of Honor, being the only wrestling show on there. I think TNA, for Destination America, if they are going to drop TNA, they're using TNA to kind of grow Ring of Honor, and then they're going to just get rid of TNA, screw it, and then they'll keep Ring of Honor as their flagship wrestling show. Is Ring of Honor, though, as big as TNA? No, I don't think so. I think it's the number 3 at the moment, and with this TV deal, though, can it become bigger than TNA? Perhaps. TNA, in my opinion, has the biggest stars, but TNA is an aging roster. Their roster is... There are a lot of the guys, like Lashley, MVP... Bully Ray when he was in there, no longer in there though. Angle, Hardy, a lot of these guys are aging. They do have some younger guys coming through, but for the most part, their roster is aging. So Ring of Honor probably has a more exciting roster because of that. They've got more prospects coming through, and Ring of Honor have always been known for developing the stars of tomorrow. That's kind of like that, what they kind of sell their company around. So for that, perhaps Ring of Honor is a little bit more exciting. It has a much bigger future than TNA. And I think Destination America probably went online and realized that all this negative talk about TNA, like nobody's really talking positively about TNA at all. And they probably realized, look, maybe for PR's sake, maybe for our own sake, let's just drop TNA, let's bring on a show. We still want to have wrestling. Let's bring on a wrestling show that people are actually more positive about and may have more of a future. And we can actually build our network around it, and help this. We can help build this show into something big, and perhaps this could be something good for our network for the future. Whereas TNA, their future is unknown. So for Destination America, they're a big winner. Ring of Honor is a very big winner. For TNA, though, if they do stay on the network, I think they will win as well. But if they're gone from the network, well then you know how it is. Like, they're gone from the network, so how are they going to benefit? But I was very shocked. Did not see this coming at all. Probably a last-minute decision, But Ring of Honor needed this, and I will now check out Ring of Honor. I will watch their show this week. I will see how they go. Ring of Honor has always had just a very poor production quality, in my opinion. So they have to increase their production for me to give a shit. They have good talent, but storylines are always a factor of my enjoyment for wrestling. So hopefully they can get some storylines going. Hopefully they can start to put on an entertaining TV product. Because just pure wrestling for me isn't going to cut it. Just for my own personal taste. Everyone's kind of different. You guys listening might be going, okay, I love New Japan. I love watching the indies. I just love wrestling. But for me, I love a reason behind the wrestling. I guess I just like watching wrestling that has a purpose. And there's a reason why these two guys are wrestling each other, and not just, this is just a straight up match, so for a title, and just for no reason. So if Ring of Honor can improve on that little aspect, that will probably get me more interested. I think Lucha Underground has done that really well. Their storylines have been exciting, but I guess for myself personally, I just haven't really found the time to invest in another wrestling show. I just think the WWE is just easy to watch, just a routine every week. And it's all over Twitter, everyone's talking about it. It's all over my forum every week, so it's just easy to keep up to date with the product and keep following it. Whereas someone like Ring of Honor, you have to kind of search a little bit more to kind of find things out about it. Same with TNA, even to that respect. So I think Ring of Honor, though, this is a good opportunity for them. I personally, like I said, will give it a shot, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. This is their big shot. This is their big chance to grow their company into something. Will they be the next WWE? Hell no. But they have an opportunity to have a decent slot on TV every week on an okay network and get them going. If not, at least it will make their shows accessible for a lot of people, and people can be interested, and their show's going to get a little bit of buzz, and that's something that Ring of Honor hasn't had for a long time. And I personally thought Ring of Honor was never going to grow anywhere. I was surprised they even got this deal, but I think it's a risk that Destination America is willing to take because they've already got TNA on their network. So Destination America, if they're going to keep TNA, a big 3-hour wrestling night every Wednesday. That's pretty exciting for some wrestling fans. So to me, if I had Destination America, I would watch that every Wednesday. I would put that on and just sit back and watch 3 hours every night. Like, I would do that. But for me, like, I have to go online, I have to find the videos online, and I have to watch it like that. Like, I don't actually have the network, obviously, so it's a little different. But for just someone sitting back on the couch, flicking through channels every Wednesday, you got 3 hours of wrestling, it's pretty appealing. So it's not a bad idea from Destination America, but is it a long-term thing, or is this just put this there, let's build it up whilst we still have TNA, and then we'll get rid of TNA, and we'll keep Ring of Honor as our flagship wrestling show? I don't know. But anyways, it's exciting. It's exciting to see another wrestling show get this opportunity. This is something we haven't had very often. We haven't had that many wrestling shows to be excited about and to talk about. But a lot of these little indie shows, and like NXT included, like we've got Lucha, NXT, perhaps Ring of Honor, and Global Force Wrestling, the rumors about that. So there's some different things going on in the smaller side of wrestling. But on like the bigger scale, like WWE, there's not a lot happening there. But like these small little companies, small little feds are doing okay. And it's kind of interesting to see where they're going. They've got a little bit of buzz around. So that to me is pretty exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this all comes about. And Wednesday nights is going to be a big night for wrestling indeed. Alright, so that's going to do it for that little bit. So this week on What is Brendan Playing? Not a lot. I have not been playing a lot. And this week I am in a gaming rut. And if you know what that means, it means I go on, I'll play a game, I'll play it for half an hour, then I'll just go, I'm bored, and I'll turn it off. This just hasn't been a game that's kind of kept my interest. Like, I've still obviously been playing Battlefield, because, we've been playing a lot of Battlefield with members on the forums and on the Twitch. We're getting a lot of people adding me, and, we're getting, we've got our own server, we're playing 4-on-4 games online. It's really fun, so we keep doing that, and I've been talking about it a lot on Let's Talk Tuesday so far. Still doing that, looking forward to the DLC dropping. So looking forward to that, but other than Battlefield, like playing by myself, I just haven't been motivated to play anything. Probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I finished like 2 or 3 games in the space of a few days, so I kind of went all out there, and then I just haven't had the time to play games, and now that I kind of do have the time, I just haven't been able to get invested. Like The Witcher, I'm playing it here and there. It's kind of keeping me going, but I just kind of get in the back of my mind, like I realize, okay, I'm not able to put like a big 3-4 hour sitting of this game every day. Like, I'm not able to put all that time into it, so I'm just kind of reluctant to play it. What I did though this week is I did buy the Order 1886. Reason why I did that is it became on really cheap, so I found it really cheap online, so I did get it, and I played the first couple of chapters, and I gotta say, I do like it. I do like the Order. The first chapter is really fun and very different. Graphically, the game is really gorgeous. The game looks stunning. It's fantastic. And obviously, it's a very short game, I know. A lot of people are probably thinking, why'd you buy that game? It's only a 5-hour game, whatever. So that was really the only turning point off for me. Like, the only reason why I didn't really want to get the game is because of its length. But the game so far has been pretty fun. Like, actually getting the opportunity to play and to shoot and, play the game, because it's mainly like a very cinematic game. Like, you play for 30 seconds, it'll be and then have a cutscene, and a very cinematic game. So if you ever play like a Heavy Rain or something like that, you don't really get the opportunity to move around and do all that much. It's very, I don't know, it's just, you don't get the opportunity to really kind of experience the game all the time. So for that reason alone, it can be a little bit boring, but like the storyline behind it's pretty interesting. I kind of like it, so I think the Order, it's definitely a game you want to rent. It's definitely a game you want to just check out if you can get it for a cheap price. Definitely recommend getting it, but I'm enjoying it. I definitely am enjoying it. I love supporting my PlayStation exclusives as well, and I've been wanting to play this game for a while. But like I said, graphically, it's really, really good looking game. Very, very nice looking game. So probably one of the best looking games on the PS4, definitely. But like I said, short game, but very enjoyable. And obviously, I've been playing The Witcher as well. And that's probably about it. I haven't really been playing that much. I yet to get around to Wolfenstein. It's kind of the game that I want to play as well. Like, I want to get to Wolfenstein, finish the old Wolfenstein, and then finish the newer one. I want to get to those two games. So they're on kind of like my list at the moment. But yeah, I haven't really been playing all that much. I've just kind of been switching between games a lot, just kind of going here and there among a number of games, which has kind of been a little bit annoying. But as well as that, I started watching some shit on Netflix. I finally went ahead and got the American version of Netflix. The Australian version of Netflix is just dreadful. It's just horrible. So I did some little things and I got the American version of Netflix. So I actually have some TV shows and some movies to watch on Netflix. So I've been getting around to Netflix. I started Lilyhammer today. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of The Sopranos. So this show, obviously, it's very subtitle based. It's based in Norway, I think. So yeah, based in Norway. So throughout the show, they speak Norwegian a lot. So you kind of have to pay attention to the subtitles. But other than that, the show's kind of interesting. I do like it. So I am enjoying that. So I've been watching that. And obviously I've been watching Boardwalk Empire as well. And so those two are my main shows at the moment. And coming up, I've got a few movies as well. I'm looking forward to Entourage movie. You guys know I love Entourage. And The Rock's San Andreas movie looks pretty cool as well. So a few movies I'm looking forward to. And so that kind of really just covers about everything, what I've been doing this week. I haven't been really doing all that much. But yeah, it's good to have the better version of Netflix. You go on, and when I went on this Netflix compared to the Australian one, I was blown away. Just because of the difference between the two, it's just amazing. The amount of stuff that's on the American one compared to the Australian one is just out of this world. So it's much better better value for my money, that's for sure. And before we get into our fan questions, I just want to segue into some Universe Mode chat. So if you guys have been on my Twitter, or my Facebook, or on the forums, on the website, kind of everything that I'm on, you would have known that I recently announced a new match for the upcoming Universe Mode TLC pay-per-view, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. And that match is Ryback versus Roman Reigns. So on the previous episode of Monday Night Raw, we had Ryback and Roman Reigns. They had a little bit of a confrontation after their tag team match. And Ryback was beating the hell out of Roman Reigns with his steel chair. And Seth Rollins was doing the same to Randy. So it was a very interesting little confrontation between those two. And I really enjoyed seeing that. And from there, I guess it was a bit of a given that we should do Ryback versus Reigns. So I'm intrigued to seeing how this one comes about. So it's officially announced. I did announce it, and that's on the website. You can check the TLC page on the website if you want to know more specifics about TLC. But that's kind of one of the big matches that are built for TLC, and as well as that, we have Rollins versus Orton in a TLC match, and a TLC match between Jericho and Punk. And I'm probably thinking of making the Ryback and Reigns match a quote-unquote chairs match, which realistically is a no-holds-barred match, but I want to call it a chairs match just to kind of give it the name, but realistically it's probably a no-holds-barred match. So I probably will do that, call it a chairs match, but it's a no-holds-barred match, and hopefully they just use chairs in the match. Hopefully they just stick to the chairs, they don't get the sledgehammers and the kendos out, they just stick to the steel chairs to kind of keep up with the gimmick. But that's kind of the plan for Universe Mode at the moment. I'm still working away on Universe Mode, and with the channel specifically, I finished the GM Mode series this week, so there's that one spare slot at the moment, so it's really just a 3 series going. I've got My Career, Universe Mode, and this Let's Talk Tuesday, so there's a lot of time and a lot of space in my schedule for another series and to do more episodes, and I'm really trying to fill the void, and I want to get something else going, because I feel like something's missing. And just having that 4th series just kind of feels like something's missing, and I'm probably doing too many episodes. I don't know, but yeah, so I just feel as though I need something else. So what I did is I went ahead and got a PS2 last week, and that will be coming in the next couple of weeks. I got a new game capture as well, so I'm in a bit of a spending frenzy. So, and I'm getting some good birthday presents in the upcoming weeks as well. So I got a PS2, a lot of PS1, a lot of PS2 games as well. So I basically got all the good wrestling games on the PS1 and PS2, and I'm going to play them, and I'm going to do some Twitch streams on them. I'm going to do some gameplays, maybe even a series on something. I want to do another GM Mode series on 2007 GM Mode, and I wouldn't mind playing some of the SmackDown games, like Here Comes the Pain, and, playing those games and doing the story or season mode, whatever the hell is on those games, and playing those. So, because I never got to play them, so that's something very exciting. And I also made the mistake of checking out some GameCube, the wrestling games on the GameCube, so I got very tempted to get one of those so I can play them. And I want to try and find my Nintendo 64 and my old Xbox, just my normal Xbox, and I'm thinking about maybe trying to get the old, No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000 games on the Nintendo, and then maybe the Raw 1 and Raw 2 on the Xbox. So that's something that's in the works. It's exciting. I want to do a lot more retro games because they're pretty exciting to do, and that's something that you can keep going for a while and just have on the back burner. So that's something I'm planning on doing. Maybe like if I do get one of these, like if I do get one of these SmackDown games and do a bit of a season mode on that, I will probably do maybe I'll do 10 episodes in one go and upload 3 or 4 in a day and have heaps of them going so you guys have plenty of content to watch. And rather than spacing it out for a long period of time, I'll go bang, bang, bang and upload a few, and then, maybe a few days later I'll go bang, bang, bang again and, just hit you guys with plenty of episodes, something like that, and just get through all these games and just play a lot of them and record a lot and get through them all so we can do more in the future, and so we can cover more of these games. So that's something I might think about doing, and let me know if that's something that interests you as well. I want to try and get some different content going on the channel, and I'm looking forward to playing these older games. And definitely will be streaming them on Twitch as well, and my Twitch, of course, is twitch.tv/BrendenPlayz if you haven't followed me already. Nearly up 2,000 followers, by the way, which is fantastic. So let's get into our fan questions. We had a lot of questions this week, basically coming from the forums, not a lot on the YouTube comments, so that's okay. But obviously, if you are listening on YouTube and you want to leave a comment and leave a question, you can do that in the YouTube comment section or the forums, BrendenPlayz.com/forums. So our first question, and these are going to be in random order. I've just got them all lined up. I haven't got them in any particular order. We've got a few questions, so we're going to run through these pretty quickly. This one comes from Smith. Ryback won the IC title match at Elimination Chamber, but where does that leave all the other contestants? Who will challenge Ryback for his title? So, obviously, Big Show's coming after the title, but I can see Bad News Barrett and Sheamus definitely doing something. Ryback as well. I can see a little feud happening there. I always thought Ryback and Sheamus were going to feud outside the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view anyways. I actually thought Sheamus was going to win the title, and then Ryback and Sheamus would feud over it, but it might be the opposite. But, Sheamus going in the Money in the Bank, is Barrett in that? I think Barrett might. No, Barrett's not in there, I don't think. These guys are just trying to, wander around. A few will go Money in the Bank. Might be a mid-card feud here and there. If not, they'll just do nothing, I guess. That's how WWE normally works. After a big multi-man match, some of the guys will go and do something. Some of the guys will just do nothing. R-Truth, for example, will be doing nothing, and, But, definitely Ryback, I can see him feuding with Neville. I think maybe they might be doing more these guys like The Miz, Big Show, Sheamus. These guys who aren't the technical guys might be coming after Ryback's title, which I don't know if is a good thing or not, and maybe they want to keep that for Cena, but I think it's kind of like the reverse. I always thought the IC title was the technical workhorse title, and now the US title was more these bigger guys having it, and a Rusev having it, but now it's kind of like the reverse, perhaps. Not saying that Cena's a technical guy, but he's getting probably better matches than Ryback will. Next up comes from Bashko. How do you feel about the Primetime Players' recent push? Very excited, very happy for them, because I think the Primetime Players have been a hugely underutilized team for a long, long time, and to me, they really deserve an opportunity to show what they can do. They really deserve a chance. So I'm very excited to see that. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with it. I hope they win the tag titles. I think they should already won the tag titles by now. And the New Day, though, they've been a good team, and I think the Primetime Players might be a good team that the fans can get behind and want them to win. And it's good to have somebody other than Cesaro and Kid and the Usos getting an opportunity in the tag division, because right now we only have a few tag teams that are really worth watching. So I think the Primetime Players can fill the spot. And even if they lose, then at least they'll get an opportunity to show what they can do and impress. Another one from Bashka. Do you think the WWE could give Money in the Bank to Ziggler? Very, very unlikely. I think at this point, Dolph Ziggler, his chances of ever being the WWE champion are probably gone. I think a lot of guys have gone ahead of him in the last couple of years. Rollins, Reigns, Ambrose. Kevin Owens probably coming in now has gone ahead of Ziggler, and even a Sheamus sadly has gone ahead. Ryback's gone ahead. So a lot of these guys have gone ahead of Dolph Ziggler, and I think the guy is great, and he certainly can work, and deserves these opportunities. But I just feel as though he won't get that chance, and that kind of sucks. But I guess that's just how it goes. Some guys can win the championship, some guys can't. And I just feel as though at this point, Ziggler, unless he gets this huge amount of support, like even though he was superly over, like he, was crazy at Survivor Series, the crowd was going nuts for him. He was the most over he's been in a long time. Even though he's getting all this support, it just hasn't been enough for the WWE to push the trigger. Maybe his merchandise sales haven't been impressive enough for them to warrant the push. Mind you, his merchandise, I wouldn't buy that. So that's a lot of things as well. Like merchandise, it's more of a case of how it looks to me. Like I'm not going to buy merchandise just because I like the guy if it looks shit. Like if the t-shirt does not look any good, I'm not going to buy it. Just because it's Ryback's t-shirt, I'm not going to buy it if it doesn't look any good. So it's also a matter of like, yes, it's this guy's merch, but if it doesn't look any good, a lot of people aren't going to buy it. Like the Kevin Owens shirt that's been selling crazy, like that shirt looks cool. Like that's a good shirt. Like I like the look of the shirt. So people are going to buy that shirt because it looks good. John Cena has so many different shirts coming out all the time, so people are always going to keep buying his new shirts. And Ziggler, his merch is kind of like the pink, it's the blue, like the baby blue. It's just kind of like not really attractive and appealing for any males. So his merchandise is never going to do as well as the likes of a Kevin Owens or even a Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton always has good t-shirts. I always like Randy Orton's t-shirts. So some of these guys, their merchandise sales aren't going to be as good because their merchandise just doesn't look any good. Next up comes from Drainstorm Jr., aka Aki. What was the first video game you ever had? Well, that's a tough one because I started gaming a long time ago, like maybe when I was 2 or 3, I reckon I probably already had a controller in my hand. My brother, he had the Super Nintendo, and I used to play that with him. I remember the first couple of games I played. Couple of my favorite games when I was, just a tiny little toddler, or like a 3 or 4 year old, was Super Mario 2. I think that was Yoshi's Island. I absolutely love that game. And Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3 were amazing. And then going ahead a little bit further, Smash Brothers on the Nintendo 64 was my game. I played that for like 5 years, maybe like 10 years to be honest. Like I had played that game a hell of a lot, and I just absolutely loved that. Probably one of my favorite games of all time was Smash Brothers. So those are some of the games I can first remember playing. I couldn't tell you which one was the first one because I was too young to really remember, but those are some of the main ones. This next one has 2 questions. It's from Sheepy. Firstly, what's your take on the amount of audio calls that were easily heard during the whole event at Elimination Chamber? So he's talking about spots and people being able to hear like the moves being called. That was a really bad point. That was a huge letdown. Elimination Chamber. You could hear everyone. You hear everyone calling their moves. Cena, Nikki, Paige, Ziggler. You can hear everybody calling their moves. I think it was just a bad technical night from the audio. I just think they kind of messed up their mics or something like that. That's how I explain it. I don't think it was really anything different. Like these guys are just calling the moves, not how they normally do, but I just think some of the moves were getting caught in the microphones a little bit more than they normally would. So I think that was more of a audio problem from the WWE. I didn't really hear that many getting called on Raw. Like I heard a couple, but I think I may have heard perhaps Paige, but I don't think I really heard that many. So I wasn't really listening that intently though, but I don't really remember. So I just think it was a bad audio night for the WWE. Second question from Sheepy is Sheamus sticking his cross in the pod door to stop the door from opening, thus delaying his entrance after Henry entered early. Was that Sheamus's doing or not? It was definitely planned. It was definitely a part of the match. I think that was always, booked in the match. I don't think that was Sheamus actually doing that, but it was kind of like a nice little smart idea from a heel, like outsmarting everybody and just waiting until everyone was down and picking his spot. So it was that was a good point in that matchup. Next one from Bad News Bullet. Do you think John Cena versus Kevin Owens at Money in the Bank will top their Elimination Chamber match? Probably. The second match definitely will probably be better because these guys experienced in the first one, they might change it up and do something a little bit different to try and outdo it. So I think the second one will probably be better. Money in the Bank's always a good pay-per-view. I really like Money in the Bank. It's a shame they're only giving it 2 week build-up. Money in the Bank normally is really good, and John Cena's had some good Money in the Bank matches, like some matches at Money in the Bank, like the CM Punk match, one of my favorites ever. So I think Kevin Owens and John Cena will be a very, very good match. I think it will be better second time around. It might actually, thinking about it, probably Cena's going to win, so I think a lot of people might not enjoy it as much. Next one from that Back Off 7. Which was your favourite moment at Elimination Chamber pay-per-view? It's hard to say, like, either Ryback winning the IC title was great, or Kevin Owens beating Cena. One of those two. Probably Owens. I probably cared more about Owens winning, because that was a little bit more surprising. But Ryback winning IC title was also really good, so I definitely enjoyed those two moments. Another one from the Backos. I kind of already talked about this one, but what's your opinion on WWE having 3 pay-per-views within 6 weeks? Like I said, overkill, a cheap, lazy way to sell their network, and it's just really dumbing down the pay-per-views, just not making the pay-per-views feel special. Like, first of all, they already strip away the whole pay-per-view identity, like the stage, the appearance, everything looks the same as Monday Night Raw, so obviously the pay-per-views don't feel as special from the get-go. Then they're going to have and oversaturate us with even more pay-per-views. It just makes it too much. I just think the fans are going to grow tired of it, and like I said, it's just a really cheap, lazy marketing ploy to sell their pay-per-views, sell their network. Next one from Skeletox. What's your thoughts on the booking of King Barrett? Look, I'm not a fan of King Barrett, you guys know that, but I kind of expected this booking. I don't know if I called it, but I said, like, the King of the Ring was just kind of thrown together at the last second, and I never really thought the winner was going to ever really amount to anything, so it's probably a good thing that Barrett won. Him changing his whole gimmick from Bad News Barrett to King Barrett was not a good idea. I think he should have just stuck with Bad News Barrett, but hey, I won King of the Ring, so I'm the best in the ring, and talk about that. You know, like, I've got some bad news, I'm better than you in the ring, I won King of the Ring, and I have that to prove that. So, I don't know, something like that. Like, the whole King gimmick has been overdone. Like, it hasn't been done in a while, but I just don't think it was that really good of an idea. I just think Bad News Barrett, in my opinion, I don't think they really see all that much in him, because it's difficult to push a guy when you... Like, he comes in, he gets injured after 3 months into his push, and he comes back, and they keep pushing him all the time. Like, whenever Barrett's currently healthy, he's always getting pushed. He's always getting an opportunity, and he just never really seems to excel in that role. The best time he's had, other than, obviously, Nexus, but he had that whole group around it, but the best time he's had as a solo was Bad News Barrett, and they took everything away from him that actually made that entertaining when he came back from his injury. So I just think it could have been a lot different with Barrett if he had have not gotten injured this time around with the Bad News Barrett gimmick. I think it could have went a little bit further than it was going to, but I just think at this point people have given up on Barrett, maybe even creative have given up on Barrett, and the King of the Ring thing was just kind of like an easy way to keep Barrett somewhat relevant, give him a big win, you can do something with him, you know, and people might think of him a little bit better, but he's been losing to R-Truth, he's been losing to absolutely everybody, so it's hard to take this guy seriously when he's losing every week. So I think they might have just given up on Barrett. I think they might have just given him this King of the Ring, and 2 weeks later they realized this is probably a mistake, and let's just give up on him and let's give someone else an opportunity, and that's basically what's been happening. Next up from Jack Miller, what do you think about Kofi Kingston being in the Money in the Bank match? I think this kind of really devalues Money in the Bank a little bit. Looking at the Money in the Bank match now, there's really not a lot of stars in there, is there? I mean, Dolph Ziggler, mid-card guy at the moment. Neville, still too early to say. Probably will just be a mid-card guy. Roman Reigns and Randy Orton, the top 2 drawing cards of the match. And King Barrett, I think, is in that as well. And I think... Sheamus. So... a lot of mid-card guys in this match, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because Money in the Bank is basically, to a point, about elevating some mid-card guys and giving them this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a WWE Championship match. So that's kind of what it's all about. But definitely Kofi Kingston being in there, we all know he's not going to win, and I expect the New Day to run in and try and help Kingston win and do some bullshit, but I think it's going to be about Kingston going in there, doing some high spots, him and Neville jumping off the ladders, doing some crazy shit. That's really the only purpose I see Kofi having. Maybe he'll have like a big, massive move he'll do, or like do something crazy and that will put him out of the match. Something like that, but that's where I basically see Kingston going. I don't really see him having a realistic chance of winning. I think the only person that really has a chance of winning is is Roman Reigns. I can't see Randy Orton winning. I can't see anybody winning. Maybe Sheamus, very loosely, like a very small chance of Sheamus winning, but I think at this point, all eyes on Roman Reigns. All the signs are pointing towards Roman Reigns winning. Next one is again from Bad News Bullet. In your opinion, do you think Cena needed to win at Elimination Chamber, or are you happy that he made Kevin Owens look strong? And with Roman Reigns being in Money in the Bank match, do you think he will win it? And do you think he will turn heel after he wins it? Kevin Owens, if he had lost this match and he's going to be on the roster full time, that would have been an absolute detriment to his career. You can't bring a guy up, build him to this big matchup, and build him as this unstoppable heel for him to lose in his first match. It's like when Brock Lesnar came back from Extreme Rules 2012. This big bad, like most dangerous man in the world. You know, he's done all this shit in UFC. He's coming back. He's so legitimate. And then he lost his first match. It was like, what? Are you kidding me? If that was anybody else other than Brock Lesnar, they're done. It was over. So they're so lucky that Brock Lesnar is that good, and Paul Heyman is that good to get Brock Lesnar over again, because that really put a big stint in Brock Lesnar. So if they had done the same with Owens, Owens would not be able to survive. He would be done. The crowd would turn on him. The crowd wouldn't give a shit. So he had to win the first one. Can he afford to lose the second one? Oof, well, it depends how he loses. I mean, if he does lose, people might go, okay, it's just going to be Cena loses the first one, but he'll win the next two. I think some people might start to lose a bit of interest. So I don't know if you can have Owens beat Cena bang, bang, clean 2 times in a row, but it's certainly interesting. I don't know, like how well do they perceive Owens? How much faith do they have in Owens? And if they really see him as a big prospect for the future, I think he will beat Cena in some kind of fashion. Maybe not Money in the Bank, but maybe in the third match he might end up winning the feud. And Roman Reigns in the Money in the Bank match, do I think he'll win it? Yes. Do I think he'll turn heel after he wins it? Maybe. I think he would turn heel if Dean Ambrose won the WWE Championship. If Ambrose wins the title and Roman Reigns cashes in and betrays Dean Ambrose, that is the perfect way to turn Reigns heel. People love Ambrose, and people will absolutely shit all over Roman Reigns if he does that to Ambrose. People want to see Ambrose win. So one of the ways you could do it, and maybe this will happen at SummerSlam or Battleground, I don't know. Ambrose wins the title. He beats Seth Rollins for the title. Maybe it even happens in Money in the Bank. Ambrose beats Rollins for the title. Roman Reigns comes out whilst Ambrose is celebrating. He comes out to celebrate with him. Bang! Takes out Dean Ambrose. Hits the spear, hits the Superman punch, cashes in Money in the Bank, wins 1, 2, 3. The crowd will absolutely boo him out of the building. So that's an easy way to turn him heel. I think it's probably the best way to turn him heel. You have to turn him heel on Dean Ambrose at this point. Does he need to join the Authority? A lot of people saying if Reigns turns heel, does he need to join the Authority? I don't think so. And then again, I don't really want him to. But I think a Reigns and Ambrose feud would be very, very exciting. I think that would be really, really good. And I think a heel turn has to happen from Roman Reigns. Don't turn Ambrose heel. Roman Reigns should turn heel, in my opinion. This one's from Skylar Stimston. What are your thoughts on the WWE having interest in signing the phenomenal AJ Styles to their NXT program? Rumor is that they're going to try and sign AJ Styles. I personally don't buy into the rumor. I think there's been some rumblings in the past about them being somewhat interested in AJ and it just not happening. At this point, I don't see it happening. I really don't see it happening. I mean, it is possible they brought in Samoa Joe, but I think if they wanted to have AJ Styles, they probably would have signed him by now. I mean, he's 36, 37 years old, so if they're going to sign him, they're going to do it pretty soon. So, him coming into NXT, is it worth it? Yeah, I think so. I mean, you lose Finn Balor, you lose Kevin Owens, you lose Sami Zayn, you lose Neville, you bring in AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. That's 2 pretty good guys to fill that spot before they bring someone else in to replace them. So, and I think that's also a great way to sell their network, because the NXT is clearly marketed at smart wrestling fans. It's marketed at the IWC. It's marketed at the hardcore wrestling fans. Hardcore wrestling fans, they love AJ Styles. It's pretty easily. It's like if you're Triple H, you're thinking, how can I keep this going? Who can I bring in that will keep the fans interested? AJ Styles will have to be on the top of the list. He's still probably coming towards the end of his prime, but he could still offer something, still has some value, and I think he might be able to get over to the point where he can be an NXT, top guy in NXT for sure. Bring him up to the main roster. Will he succeed there? I don't know. I don't think they would ever give him the ball, but he might be like that Dolph Ziggler guy. Just goes out there, puts on these great freaking matches, and, gets a good feature on TV every week, but he'll never get given the ball. He'll never really have an opportunity to be a main event guy. But personally, if they do sign AJ, I think it's a great move. I've been wanting AJ to come to the WWE for a while now, but I just don't see it happening. I just can't see it happening. If they would have already done it by now, in my opinion. And today's final question comes from Josh Stone. Are you enjoying the tag team wrestling division more now that the Primetime Players had a match on Raw and at the Chamber? Like I said earlier, Primetime Players are very entertaining. They're very, very exciting to me. I really enjoy them. I have a blast watching them. I had a bit of a smile on my face when they beat up the New Day and they're doing what they did in the ring tonight and they got the victory. I was very happy. I was very excited to see that. So to me, it has elevated my interest. I think the New Day are a very good team of heels, and the Primetime Players are a good counter to that because I think they can be good baby faces. I think they'll be a good team people can get behind. And you need someone else other than Cesaro and Kid and the Usos. That's really the only teams that have really been built up to this point for a while. So you get the New Day away from Cesaro and Kid, and perhaps Primetime Players do win the titles. Then you can keep Cesaro and Kid coming back into the title mix and do it there. So, keep Cesaro and Kid looking good, and then you have 3 decent teams, and you bring back the Usos. You'll have 4 good teams that you can build the tag team division around. And maybe one day they might actually realize and wake up to themselves that the Ascension are an absolute joke, and maybe they'll change their gimmick and make them somewhat serious again, and maybe you can build them up. And then maybe you can bring up Enzo and Cass from NXT, and they're another entertaining team. You can bring up a few more teams and insert them into the mix and keep the tag team division going. Alright guys, a little bit more of an extended edition of Let's Talk Tuesday this week. A lot to talk about. Big week in wrestling. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of Let's Talk Tuesday. If you did, if you are on YouTube, please hit the like button. We need some likes. So right now, hit the like button on YouTube. I'm waiting. Okay. And then after that, if you're on iTunes, please leave a rating. We need some more ratings. And of course, if you're on Spreaker, leave a favorite on the video on the episode. So I would really appreciate that if you could leave the support. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel and iTunes as well to get more episodes coming up in the future. And just leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about the show. Like, if you have been enjoying the show, leave a comment saying that you're enjoying the show. I would just love your feedback. Just love to know what you guys are thinking. I'm not exactly sure what the overall consensus is on the Let's Talk Tuesdays podcast as a whole yet. It seems as though you guys are enjoying it, but I'd just like some reassurance. If you guys are enjoying it, please let me know. I would definitely appreciate that, whether it's a tweet, whether it's a comment. Just let me know. That'd be great. And like I said, leave a comment about anything I talk about in today's episode as well, and I'll read over your comments. I'll see what you guys think, and leave a question for next week's episode as well in the comments section or at the forums, BrendenPlayz.com/forums. Join up the forums as well if you want to discuss more wrestling and talk about all these topics and a lot more with other BrendenPlayz fans as well. You can do that, and other wrestling fans on the BrendenPlayz forums. That's a great way to do it. That's it from me, guys. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition, and Money in the Bank is coming up. Pretty exciting time in wrestling. Like I said, a lot of pay-per-views, but at least it gives us something to talk about at every single show. So it seems like every show is like a post-pay-per-view or a pre-pay-per-view show these days. So a bit of a crazy time right now, but hope you guys have been enjoying it, and I'll see you all next week.